Hello all, my name is Mahesh Kumar Vaka. I am working as Senior Software Engineer in Evoke Technologies Hyderabad. In this session, we will talk about access modifiers in Java. When I am saying access modifiers, it is about the visibility or the scope or the restriction we are giving to access any particular class or a variable or a method. So we as developers, we will write Java code, right? In that, we have to understand which access modifiers to use and in which case we have to use public or protected or default or private. So we will talk about each of these access modifiers. But in our previous session, we have understood that for a class, we have to use only two access modifiers, public and default. Meaning, whenever we are trying to create a class, let us say I'm creating a class bank, I can use or I can declare my class like this. Otherwise, I can write public class bank. Any of these works, but do not try to use private class bank or protected class bank like that. So this is the usual way of creating classes. Okay, and we have other two access modifiers called protected and private. We will first focus on understanding public, default, and private, and we will cover the access modifier protected at the end. So for this, I have created a program called computer.java, and within this class file, you cannot say this as a class file, this is a source code file. Within this source code, I have named or I have created some variables called system provider, and I have used something else called computer hardware. This is not a system data type. This is not provided by anyone. I have created it. So I have named it as hardware. So this is one object which I am trying to create because my computer needs hardware, right? So in the hardware class, what I have done is I have used some other variables called monitor provider and mouse provider. Here we are talking about access modifiers, right? So access modifiers can be at any level. Like we can have it at class level, we can have it at variable level, and we can also have it at method level. When I'm saying method, method is just a functionality. We want to do some specific functionality through a method. So here I have named my method as work, which just prints something like hardware is working fine. Okay. So now our focus will shift to access modifiers. So for this class, the access modifier is public. For this variable, the access modifier is default because I have not put anything. This falls under default access modifier. And for other variables here, so monitor provider, I have put the access modifier as private. And for mouse provider, I have put it as default. So in my main class, so I have just tried to show the mouse provider and monitor provider. For that, I have created this hardware object and named it as computer hardware, right? So we will try to compile and execute this program and we'll understand if we come across any errors or if this is working fine or what. So for that, I am just compiling, and since this belongs to computer world package, I'm using the option -d, and here we came across some errors, a bunch of errors, and it says the line numbers here. It is showing an error at 7, 8, and 9. So what 7 is here? 7 is pointing to something called system.out.println, and in that we are using something called computer hardware. There seems to be a problem with this computer hardware because as per the error, non-static variable computer hardware cannot be referenced from a static context. Here the error says that we are trying to use some variable called computer hardware, that is fine, but it is used in static context. Our main method is having static. So if we want to access something, we need to give it as static, right? So Now we will try to recompile. Now we see few more errors, and here it says monitor provider has private access in hardware. So here the string monitor provider, it is given as private, right? So private is setting a restriction here. It is saying that we cannot use this monitor provider in any other class, meaning private is something only accessible within that class only. But here what we are trying to do is we are trying to use this monitor provider in another class, that is computer. So that is why it is throwing an error that it has private access only. So that is why we cannot provide that in computer. So let us say I have put it as default only. Let's see if that works. So now, yeah, it worked because I do not see any error with monitor provider. I only see some other error saying that work has private access in hardware. Work is a method, right? In that method, we just gave a print statement. So here I have given my method with an access modifier as private. So that is why in this computer class, it is not accepting. So what I will try to do is I will just remove this private also here and make it default. Okay. Now we understood that if we give the access modifier as private, we cannot access it from another class. It is restricted only to that class. From other classes, it will not allow. So that is why I have changed from private to default. Let us see if that works now. Yeah, it got compiled. And now I will try to execute it. Yes, I'm able to see the output. It says Dell, Samsung, and hardware is working fine. So the corresponding values which we are expecting, we got those in our output. So from this program, what we understood that is we can have access modifiers set for variables and for methods. So previously we have used the access modifier as private. In that case, it did not allow us to take that, because private is something that is limited to that class only. It is limited to be accessible within hardware class only. Elsewhere, it will not work. So that is why I have changed it to default and we are able to access those things. So default will allow from outside of that class also. We will take a look at that in another program. Okay. So from this, we have understood that we have named the variable public, default, and protected we have not checked yet, and private also we have tried. So private is something it's accessible only to that class level. Okay. If we are trying to use uh, protected, we need to understand some other concept called as superclass and subclass, right? We will understand that, but if this program is clear, we will go ahead for that. Okay. Just try to practice this and experiment on these things so that you will be able to understand the access modifiers, public, default, and private. For protected, we need to understand a concept called superclass and subclass. Also, people say it as parent class and child class. So this is a concept in Java wherein when we are saying parent and child, right? So parent is something that is already having some features, and child will try to inherit those features from the parent class. And I'm saying inheriting, that is a concept in Java that is one of the core concepts of object-oriented programming. I will talk about those features in the upcoming session, but for now understand that parent class is just a Java class and child class is something that is inheriting some features from parent class. So let us say I have created another class called mobile.java. In this mobile, I have used the keyword called extends and used computer here, right? This computer we got from another package called computer world. So that is why for accessing that particular class, I used the statement import. Import means this belongs to another package, and that is why I'm trying to get that class so that I can use it. So I have used the statement import computer world dot star. The star means any class within this package just will be imported and so that we can use it. Okay. So here mobile is the child class and computer is the parent class. So from this, what we will try to understand is about the protected access modifier. Let us say in this program, I have just tried to create an object called my mobile, and I have just used new mobile. And what I am doing further is I am just trying to print my mobile dot system provider and my mobile dot motherboard provider. So where are these variables coming from? These are not existing in this mobile, right? These are inherited from the parent class called computer. Okay. So my mobile is trying to inherit some of its parent's class features or variables or methods or whatever. So here I am trying to access something called as system provider, right? So in this computer, we have the system provider, and for that the access modifier is default, right? But we don't see this motherboard provider, right? What we will try to do is we will give a string, but for that we will use protected as the access modifier. So right now I have used protected, right? So we will try to compile and execute this mobile class. We will see whether this will work or not. Okay. See, there are some errors here. So here it is saying system provider is not public in computer, cannot be accessed from outside the package. So here my mobile dot system provider is not accessible. That is happening because the system provider is having the access modifier as default. Okay. And that default access modifiers cannot be accessed from outside the package. So those will be accessed only from within the package. Here I have used a package called mobile world. This is another package. So that is why this system provider is not accessible. That's why it's saying an error. Like system provider is not public, cannot be accessed from outside the package. So if they belong to the same package, yeah, it will accept. But here since our mobile belongs to mobile world package, it is not able to read it. So for that, what we will try to do is we will just comment it. Okay. Now we will try to compile. Okay. And now we see another error saying that cannot find symbol and my mobile dot motherboard provider. This is happened because we added the variable just now, right? We have to recompile it. We missed that, right? So for that, I have to recompile my original program, that is the parent class, and then try to compile my program, that is the child class mobile. So if I do that, see, right now there are no problems with the compilation. Now I will just try to see if this is working or not. And yes, we are able to access the variable called motherboard provider, which is given as protected in my parent class. Okay. So through this, we understood that we have different access modifiers and we can use at different levels. So this tabular uh, representation is saying everything that we need. So if we are giving public as the access modifier, we can use that class or variable or method anywhere. We can access it from everywhere. For protected, if we see, it can be accessed within the class and within the package and outside the package, but by a subclass. Subclass is nothing but the child class. So we have checked that, right? For our subclass, we are able to access the protected variable, right? And if we try to use it from somewhere else, that is outside the package and without inheriting from the parent class, it will not accept. If we go for default access modifier, it is only within the package, within the class or within the package. But outside the package, it will not work. Similarly, for private, we just have access till that class only. Anywhere else, even if the other class is within the same package also, it will not accept. So this is the most limiting access modifier, and we will understand and use these private variables in our upcoming sessions. But understand that this is how the access modifiers are having access levels, like within class, within package, outside the package, but by a subclass, and everywhere else. So understanding this tabular format representation and what each access modifier is saying, this is very crucial in understanding things better. If you have any questions or any doubts, just comment in this video so that I'll try to answer. Okay. So that is all for this session. We'll meet in the next session with another interesting topic. Thank you.